And boom, we're live. Dang. Well, I always say we're live. I noticed that.
We're not live.
We're not live. And
we're alive.
Yeah, we're alive. We're not live streaming yet. We could do that someday, but we are recording. So, hey, everybody, welcome back to Drew the Catholic. I'm Drew the Catholic. This is Steven.
I'm assuming it's on me.
It's on you. Welcome to the new studio. This is our second episode recorded in the studio.
This is my first time here.
Yeah, this is Steven's first time, yeah. Yeah, so anyways, thanks everyone who's been watching. Thanks for all the comments and all, thanks Mom for still watching. I'm just kidding. She does watch though. Yeah, we want to keep doing this podcast, and so, I kind of said it was time to put down a fixed studio. It helps us for the business a little bit too to use that, but honestly, most of it's going to be this. I haven't even used it for my business yet because I'm excited about
this.
How much easier. Like our setup time was a little easier tonight, wouldn't you say? Because we just
Yeah. It would have been nicer if I didn't have to do anything.
Well, usually you don't do anything. Usually I do it all, and then you come over.
I plug
and it's
some
done.
stuff in.
That's maybe. Yeah, and even the light's normally already set up. I just forgot to do that because we had to use it on a shoot on Saturday, which is kind of a random day for that. So, but normally that would be there. It was a dark day. Yeah. Anyways, so today
we're back.
Yeah,
this is my first day back in a while.
It has been a while
because you deleted some of ours.
I did. I made an oopsie and. Well, so what happened was for a while, we're like, oh, we're going to make this really lazy production. So we actually do it. And that meant that all of the mics were going into the main camera, which is like the main camera we use for our business. And the mistake there was, the camera looks really good and the camera sounds really good and it's all in one. But if I take it to a shoot before I drop the footage and then someone on set, it might have been me, but it probably wasn't. I don't think it was my wife either. It might have been one of our subs or something. They format the cards a lot because usually I drop stuff, so I was like, format the cards. We shoot this late at night, so I forget cards get formatted. We lose episodes.
Yeah, we lost 2.
We lost 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it's been a while since you've seen me.
Yeah. Well, because we recorded them like within 2 weeks from each other, and I hadn't had to use that stuff. Like we had a lot of editing stuff, and then we had a whole week of shooting at the fair.
Yeah.
That's probably when it happened.
Probably. A bowl hit.
Yeah. Got some, I literally smelled like barn after that week too. It was, my shoes, I washed them, I dried them, I rinsed them, cleaned them. They still smell like animal pen. It's kind of nasty. Yeah.
You should just throw those away.
Well, they're really nice shoes though.
Well, I don't know why you wore it too.
It was my fault. So tonight we're talking about love. What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me.
Yeah, figured it'd be fun to, not fun necessarily, I don't know, it'll be fun, but it'd be good to talk about
2 men talking about love.
We're not that type of podcast. Banned off iTunes right there. Yeah, so we're talking about what is love. What do you think love is, Steven?
It's a feeling. It's an emotion.
It's an emotion.
It circulates through your body. I don't know.
That's a lot of people think, actually. That's kind of the problem.
I think that is the problem.
Yeah.
Love is interesting because depending on who you ask, it is a wide variety of choices to pick from.
This is true.
It's like you could just play the clip of Brick from Anchorman, and that's literally just what love is to everybody.
What does he say?
He just points to random objects in the room and says, like, I love lamp. I love lamp. Oh, I love carpet.
No, you're right.
And he's like,
we do that though.
Brick, are you just pointing at random items in the room and saying that you love it? He's like, I love lamp. It's like that's
we
what
do
we
that
are.
though. Like in the same breath, I can be like, I love my wife and I love tacos. Like you could, like you might not say them in the same sentence, but you could certainly almost say them right next to each other and not have a problem with it.
Well, it's like some married guy told me, he goes, if only my wife could love me as much as she loved Target. No, I'm like,
yeah, that might be a problem.
That might be a problem. But I think there's a lot of women out there that would be about right.
They love their Target runs,
Yep.
Good Target run. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that well, this is the reason I want to talk about what love is, right? Because I think it's so poorly defined in our culture. In that, yeah, I think that's one part of it for sure. That the way we use the word love is really, really loose. Like we say love about things that don't matter at all, and then context is what people use to determine if it's like, oh, he seriously means that word versus like trying to say, I really, really like tacos.
I've had a few girls that say that when I'm like, I love you. And they're like, do you love me? And I'm like, now I'm really questioning what love is because I don't know what it is now.
I thought I loved you, but
the moment
now
you
that you
asked me
said that, you're making me doubt
the moment
it.
you asked me that, I went, no, I don't.
Yeah,
You're right.
You know what? You're right.
right.
Yeah, I hate you, actually. This is over.
That happened once.
Really?
Yeah. She didn't. I didn't tell her that part, but the moment I told her I loved her, she asked me, well, do you love me or are you in love with me? And I literally, in that moment, she doesn't know this, but in that moment, I went, I don't.
We are learning about love from Steven tonight.
Yeah, I was like, I probably would have if you didn't ask me that. But thank God you said that because, nope.
She made you think about it too hard. And then
She did. I was like,
what
wait
is
a minute.
love?
What is
Oh,
love?
now that I thought about it, yeah, that's not what I feel for you.
I think we have this problem.
Oh, it's bedtime.
Oh,
We got
no.
it. All right. Good
Got it.
podcast,
Goodbye.
everybody.
I think the problem is, like if you go, is it Greek? There's like 8 versions of love,
Yeah.
like different words. We as a society just compile meanings into one word and use it loosely. Like,
Yeah. That's true. That's
like instead of
definitely true.
actually having different types. Well, we have different types, but we use the same word for it instead of.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like,
Right. Yeah. Whereas Greek had phileo for like friendship, love, eros for like romantic love, and then agape is like the biblical love. That's the main one. There's another one. I have it up here. What is the other one?
I said 8, but he's named off 3 so far.
There's 4.
There's
Storge is familial love. Hey, that's a good distinction. Like
what
you
is
don't
familial?
like the way you love people and things that surround you, like
tacos.
like your family.
Oh, okay.
Like your family and like maybe like really, really close friends and neighbors, maybe even like your dog. That could be like Storge. Philia is like freely chosen friends for common values and compatibility. Eros is passion, not just sexual, but also of like an aesthetic nature or spiritual nature, for what is conceived as beautiful. And then agapic love is when one has much to give to another more needy, generous self-donation.
So that should be like
So.
so agape. Is that how you said it?
Yeah, agape.
Agape should be like the love towards your spouse or your kid, right?
You should definitely have that towards them because, yeah, if they need something from you.
Well,
Like, you
isn't
could
that-
have
isn't-
eros
but
towards
I mean,
your spouse,
but I
too.
thought like in general, like your marriage is supposed to be like sacrifice for the other person. So
Oh,
shouldn't it-
totally. In that sense. Well, in that sense, like all true love is agape, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the
well, and
thought.
that's the where if you
Yeah.
go in, now if you go to God, that's the love we're supposed to have for God, or
And-
He loves
yeah.
for us is this self-sacrifice.
Right.
And I think that's the love that gets tossed around because everyone just goes, oh, I love, but they act like the sacrifice, but it's like, but that's not what you mean at all.
I love God. Doesn't do anything for God.
Yeah. I love my wife and my girlfriend. That's a different kind of love of my girlfriend, but my wife, I love.
Oh, man. I really just wish her well. Yeah, I'm not going to tangibly act towards that at all. I'm just going to say, I have nice feelings about you, but they don't make me do anything tangible.
Yeah.
We're kind of joking about that, but I think that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this. I feel like our culture.
That's why I joke about it.
Yeah,
Because there's truth in jokes.
that's true. But I feel like that's true about our culture. I feel like while all of these other meanings of love that we just discussed in the Greek might be true in our culture from time to time, like in actual relationships, maybe socially or culturally or even politically, our definition of love is not any of these.
Mm-mm.
I think love in our culture has become, frankly, just tolerance. Like to love somebody, like we say, we just gotta love people, or like isn't Jesus about love? Like usually what that means is like don't judge that person for the decisions they're making, and let them be exactly who they are without changing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is 100%. And I feel like that's society, but it's bleeding into the church.
Oh, definitely. Like the way that we approach evangelism or like talking about tough issues, like, well, we just gotta love people where they're at. It's like, well, does that mean that you're not going to advocate for them repenting or whatever it is, you know?
Well, I mean, even to take it just like, I guess repent, you use that word, but like, it's like, okay, if they're doing something horrific, do I just love them and let them keep doing the horrific thing? Or...
Yeah. Like, would we let an alcohol, like
an alcoholic? That's where that was actually, I was going to say that, but like an alcoholic.
Cheers. He points to me.
Yeah. Like if there's someone in your life that's an alcoholic and you just allow them to keep doing this thing.
You just gotta love them where they're at.
You love them where they're at.
Yeah.
Or do you know?
You're like allowing them to actually destroy everything valuable in their life.
So like, why is that love?
It would be called enablement clinically.
Yeah, but we treat it as a society, and as some church people treat it as, well, that's love. And it's like, and I use that one because the other stuff we could use, really people would be like, well, of course, well, no, but you have to. But I'm like, but if you switch it to alcoholism, is it all of a sudden?
Yeah, that makes it really clear.
Yeah,
it makes it really clear.
Because I was talking to someone about it the other day or a couple weeks ago. It's like, well, you gotta meet them where they're at, and I'm like, I get that, but if it was alcohol, would you treat them the same way? And it's like, well, no. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like,
yeah.
And sorry not to go on that tangent, but it was just, but the love, the aspect of how you treat people.
Right.
Like, why are we so like it's not love. It's not. It's just, I don't know.
And I feel like what it is we live in a culture that's so about live and let live, you know? And that's such a, I mean, frankly, just to like hit it right on the head, that's a product of Enlightenment liberalism. And when I say liberalism, I'm not meaning like, oh, those liberals, the left. I'm meaning in liberalism as an ideology, which is what our whole country is built on, is about a sort of individualism, like the sovereignty of the individual. And what they mean often, and what has infiltrated our culture, is that it's not our place to say what is good or not good for that individual. It's up to them to decide.
Yeah.
As if there's no bearing on what they do on the rest of us or themselves, and if what happens to them has no bearing on us, you know? As if we don't have responsibilities, you know? There's a couple people, I'm trying to remember who I heard it from first, that we talk a lot about like liberties. And in liberalism, that's all you talk about. In Enlightenment, the Enlightenment worldview that we all have like been soaked in. But classically, the discussion of your liberties and your freedoms would have always been bound by your responsibilities. So like every freedom that you have comes with a responsibility. So like if you have the freedom to choose a wife, you have the responsibility to the wife that you choose. If you have the freedom to choose a job, you have a responsibility to that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that makes sense. I don't really know where to go from that. I just, because while you were talking, I kind of zoned out for a second, because like all I could think about was, because you said like you have a responsibility to your wife, and all of a sudden I just like zoned and I went to,
I don't have a wife.
Oh God. No, I was like, well, okay, like treat like the way we treat marriage. Like I love you for 5 years, and then I divorce you in 6 because I fell out of love.
Right.
So when you like, I zoned out when you said that, because all I could think about was how we treat marriage, how we treat this thing that's supposed to be this bond between two people, and all of a sudden we've made it to where it's just a convenience thing. Like, I love you, but now I don't love you, and I don't want to be with you, and I want to be with somebody else because they'll give me what I really need. And
usually that's based on like when we're talking, when that person says I love you, they mean like you make me feel really good.
Well, that's
and I like
the one
feeling.
that's my mind went to the love is feelings.
Yeah.
Love is this like what I said at the beginning jokingly, but like it's this arbitrary like thing that goes through it's our heart, and it's
that's
like
what a lot of people think it is.
And I'm
Like,
like, that's not
if
love.
your only idea of love is like this person makes me feel good, so I love them, you don't actually love that person. You what you are ordered towards, like if love is like ordering towards a beautiful, most directly you're ordered towards like you're desiring the feeling that they spark in you. So that's you're really addicted to your oxytocin and your dopamine, not necessarily that person. Yeah.
It's the next thing that can give you that high.
Right. And so as soon as oh man, that person's difficult and I'm not really feeling that great right now, just dump them and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, and that's to me that's what society has done to love.
Yeah, I agree fully.
It's all about a feeling. It's all about happiness.
Well, and that's even like when he's like, love people where they at. Like, well, they're doing this thing that I think is destructive. Yeah, but it makes them feel good. Like they feel happy when they do that. Well, what does that even mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do that make you happy that hurt a lot of people.
Right.
So it's like
I'd be really happy if I could just like walk into Best Buy and like fill my cart and like walk out.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty sweet.
That would.
That probably wouldn't hurt that many people.
It wouldn't hurt that many people. I was gonna say you just go to San Francisco and you're fine.
Up to $900, right? Yeah,
$9.95.
We could probably get a PS5 at market price for that, right? Not scalper price. Yeah, that's
you could get one for $5.
You know, that's really sad. I would love to get it. If I had a PS5, we could play together. But I can't get one for market price.
Talk about love. That PlayStation. Love.
Steven loves his PlayStation.
I love my PlayStation.
He loves it.
No, but it's like, no, society's just done this like 180 of like, I don't know when it was because I'm too young to know. I mean, I'm old, but it happened way before me.
Sure.
It started to where it was just love is love. And I thought it was like the 60s probably, right?
That would be.
I ask you
I don't know
as
if
you were older than me.
Well, yeah, but I read. I'm old because I read too much.
I'm young.
I think the 60s is when that like whole free love movement really hit the ground, but I think it's been in our world order, so to speak, for a little bit longer than that, but not in the same way. Like that's when it really took stride in the way that we now live in every day.
And it's just it's this love is love.
Which is the worst definition.
Yeah,
like if I told you, if you asked me what a dog is, and I said dogs are dogs. You'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" You'd be like, "You're so stupid." Yeah,
it's a little circular definition of this word.
We're being really savage, but it's true. It's a bad definition. If you use
that's the problem. Is what is love?
What is love? We could do that this whole episode.
We could, but it's like, but what is it? But if you just love is love, then it doesn't mean anything. And that's the thing. That's the point. Love is love. So love does not mean anything, and that's literally what has happened.
And that allows it to mean whatever you want it to.
Well, exactly. That's what they want.
Right.
They want it to not mean anything. Love can mean nothing. So then all of a sudden, when someone says, I love you, and they get married, and they can leave at any moment because love never actually meant anything.
Right. And that's all in the name of like this idea in the name of love. It's this, to accommodate everybody, to allow everyone to be their own sovereign individual and create their own best self or whatever it is. You have to allow them to define those things for themselves. But that creates a problem because then you can't actually relate to anybody. Like, if I get to define what love is for me, and that can contradict what it is for you, but rather than talk about that and realize that maybe we're both only seeing part of the picture and coming to a bigger conclusion that accommodates both of us, we're gonna be allowed to live in our own individualized, isolated world, and the only thing keeping peace is what we call tolerance, which is like, I don't agree with you, so I'm just going to put space between us so I don't feel like beating you up. Yeah. And that's really what tolerance is. Like truly and bluntly, tolerance is just like, it's not my place to tell you what to do. And even though that, like, I disagree with that, or it makes me mad, or it hurts me, instead of having conflict resolution and healthy discussion and all of that, we're just going to create space. And in that space will be enough buffer for us to not kill each other.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of where we're at.
Let me do my life, and you do your life, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but and I think it like bleeds into church.
Yeah.
not necessarily like, okay, yeah, no, in all ways. Like it bleeds into the way that we treat people as a church. And I'm saying this in general. I'm not attacking Protestants or Catholics or just this is
saying,
an in
you're
general.
Saying people as Christians, in our culture.
in general have this don't judge and love your neighbor. So let them do their thing. And what I think that also does is that bleeds into the way you love God. Because I love my neighbor, I
let my neighbor do whatever they want. I'll let God do what he wants. No, and he doesn't bother me. And
no, then it's not God does whatever he wants. It's I'll do whatever I want.
Ah, I see. Isn't that funny how that works?
And love God. Like I love God so much, like I love my neighbor, but I don't care what my neighbor's doing, so God should not care what I do. Because I feel like, and I know that's a circular argument that I just kind of got into, but that's what people. But I feel like that's what we do.
Yeah, we do that.
Well, how many times have I'll pray to God my way, you do it your way,
right?
And I'm like, shouldn't it all be the same? Like, I'm going to do my life my way and talk to God my way, and you're going to do it your way, so leave me alone. I'm like, well, why is that? How is that love?
Right. I think what's funny about this, too, is, like, anyone who has a child, in the context of raising their child,
no idea,
has no concept of this idea of love towards their child. And if they do, they're an awful parent. Like, if someone's like, well, my kid really wants to do this thing, I disagree.
You mean a friend?
What do you mean?
A parent friend?
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to think of a
well, I
word
guess
for
there are
that.
people that do it. But even still, like, I
know so many. I don't have kids, and I know a lot of people
parent
that
friends?
parent
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be friends with my kids, and I'm like,
right.
when they're 30.
Right. But it's like if your kid
Your
is going
kid's
towards an
12.
electrical socket with a fork, you're not going to be like, "Oh, that's what they want to do." You know. You're going to be like, "No, stop it." And that is love in that moment, because what it is you would rather have them survive and be a little bit mad at you than stick a fork in an electrical socket and be electrocuted to death. Yeah. And that seems sensible. But even in the same thing, like with the company they keep and like the things that they're interested in, like as a parent, you're going to be like, "Stop being involved with those people."
Well, I bought alcohol for my kid so he can have a party.
That happens, dude. I know people
these
who
are
do that.
This isn't a joke. Like I know people.
Yeah.
I had a friend that his dad loved him to death. He was a great guy, but he could not punish his kids for the bad they were. One was in jail, another was drugs, and it was just like, instead of like cutting him off, it's like he enabled it. So it's like that's not love,
right? Like he might have love in the sense he might have love in the sense of like Storge, right? Like he loves his family, he has this connection, and he might even have. I'm going to be very clear in how I say this. The definition of eros does not require sexuality. It could even be like passion towards the beauty of something. He might even like think his kids are beautiful and be like, "Wow, my children are beautiful, and I love them as family members."
They're perfect the way they are.
Oh gosh, yeah. But what he doesn't have, and I'm saying he, maybe not this individual, but the person who thinks about love this way, is a direct will for the good of the other, regardless of that person's preference.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I think it's just a laziness.
That could be. Yeah, you don't want to do the hard work of telling them no.
I don't want to do the hard work and deal with the repercussions. Instead, I just let them figure it out on their own.
Which is actually pretty cruel. Like, if you have wisdom, if you have someone that's in a position
to teach you something,
right? Yeah, like if you have someone you respect that you would learn from, and that person sees you struggling, and they love you, they want your best, but they don't give you the thing that you need or that you could benefit from, or maybe you don't know you need it, but they still see you need it, and they know that you trust them, so you might listen. That's like pretty cruel to be like, yeah, if my kid like didn't go absolutely get slammed every night and super drunk, like maybe that would be better for them, but I'll just let them learn that on their own. How are they going to learn it?
Yeah.
You either learn through the wisdom of others or through pain. So they're going to get a DUI or make a mistake and hurt somebody or whatever it is. that's not a compassionate way to let someone learn, you know. So in that context, it makes it really clear. But
No, that's
yeah, it's weird.
it is.
I think, and I kind of said it, but the solution to all this is the biblical definition of love. And I'm gonna summate it in a way that's not necessarily like what the text says, but what it means. Love is willing the good of the other, and that means a couple things. And I think that one of the things is it's not what you want for them, and it's not what they want for them, but it's what's actually best for them, like objectively and truly good for them. Because like there's a lot of times that parents are like, well, I want my kid to be a doctor, and that's what the parent wants, because the parent's like, oh, the kid will be financially, you know, better off, they'll be a good citizen. But then the kid might be like, I want to like live in the skate park. And like neither of those are what's objectively best for the kid. Maybe the kid's really good at, I don't know, like maybe he's a good salesman, and he should be a salesman because that's what he would do better in, or be happier in, or whatever it is, you know. Or maybe the better thing is just to, well, I'll go do a couple internships and see what I like and find a good fit, you know. But everyone's driven off of, here's what I want for my kid, or here's what my kid wants for themselves, and that's the only grid.
Well, I think you could even turn it into like job, career, like do what you love. Well, what if what you love doesn't make money?
I just love like sitting on the couch and eating
I
TV
love
dinners.
playing video games. I love.
You know what's stupid about that one though? Is some people have made really crazy careers off of streaming video games. They're not even that good.
I get that, but that's one of the things I hate about society right now is the things that people
we
make
don't
money
even
on.
play video games. We would rather watch other people play video games.
That's my point. Yeah,
It's so funny.
I would rather just, instead of playing the game, I'd rather watch somebody else play the game. We have got, oh my God, what is that called? Inception? I don't play video games. I watch other people play video games who then
I would say it's like voyeurism.
Like who also watch other people play video games. I don't actually play the video game myself, so I'm not a nerd.
Right.
But I watch another guy who watches another guy who watches another guy play video games. No, but my point
is kind of like sports. You know how we talked about like
sports.
Like if like all you do is like watch sports, it's kind of like a soft voyeurism of like really what it is like I wish I could be like that guy, rather than like going and doing something productive. If like all you do is like get obsessed with a team of players you've never met that you'll never interact with. It's the same thing with streaming games.
No, it is. So, but my point was like, when someone says go find your passion and go find something you love, like, okay, you work in a 9 to 5 and you have to love what you do. Well, again, we've desensitized the word love, so it means nothing, but we have to find something we love, but what does that really mean? And go do a job that I love to do instead of, well, how about, and I think what stemmed from this is not having kids in a family. Because you've lost purpose.
Okay.
The moment you lose purpose, you lose drive. So now you have to find something you love to do to make money instead of working 9 to 5. And the purpose was to go home to your kids, make sure they have a good life, and your wife, and or vice versa, whatever, you know, like find something you like. We've desensitized the word love, so now you have to go find this thing that you love to do, and that's what's going to make you money. But what if it, like, but not everyone can do that. It's like there was this, okay, like, sorry, I'm off topic, but like when I was in Hollywood and I was trying to be an actor, this always bugged me because like I was an atheist, and some of them were Christians that I was talking to. I don't know if they would be now, but they would always say like, what would you do if acting fell through? And everybody's answer was always, I would do nothing. This is all I have.
This is the only thing going for me.
And I'm like,
ooh, that's kind of sad.
Well, okay, but I was the only one that's like, no, I can do whatever I want. I'm going to go do it. Like if I have to do it.
But that's like the only reason you didn't make it.
That's why you didn't make it as an actor. Well, how many of them didn't make it as actors? It's because they had this stupid mentality that I have to do this thing I love.
That's a lot of pressure too. That's so much pressure.
Well, you literally put yourself into a box and said you're not capable of anything else but this.
Right.
But that's the passion, love. I got to do the thing I love, but you don't even really love it. Because you don't know what love is. Love is arbitrary. It's like it doesn't mean anything. So now you have this passion and you're supposed to go do these things. And it's like, how about instead of that, what you're going to do is you're going to go work on an oil rig. I know it sounds ridiculous because I can say it because I've done it. And it's going to suck so much. And the reason I quit was because I was alone. Because I went home to nothing. If I went home to something, it might have been a different story.
You would have had a reason.
I would have had a purpose
to
suffer instead of.
I think that's actually
yourself.
That's not off topic at all. That's a really good segue. In. So, yeah, true love for somebody. I don't want to say something because I feel like loving something too much can get out of hand. But true love for somebody can make you bear a lot of stuff that you couldn't bear.
More than you could do on your own.
Right. Yeah, like you could. It's actually really funny in The Simpsons. Homer Simpson works and he has a picture of his family.
That was like one of the most depressing but like humbling of that
But
show.
when he's like, I do it for them. That's actually like oddly based.
Yeah. Well, and then like, at the end of it, I think maybe it was a different episode where like the picture fell and it was just the baby.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's why I do this. And it's like, see, but we don't have that. We don't have that purpose that like...
Yeah, we just do it to make the fattest bankrolls, like buy a Tesla or something.
It's money, it's this, it's that, but we've lost, like... I think men in general have really lost this because men aren't having families and they're not having kids.
Right.
Or they do and then it gets stripped from them. Mm-hmm. They have nothing to work for and they just get tossed around, but not to... But it's like...
Another episode.
But like... When you take away purpose, then you take away love. That's what we've done to people is we've fed them false lies that you only do the thing you love. But what if the thing you love doesn't make you money? Instead,
like what
treat
if
the thing you're doing
is your family, and you have to do a job you hate to provide for them well enough.
And you know what's funny is if you hate something enough and you have a family, you'll figure something out, but it doesn't have to be that ultimate goal of something.
Right.
And actually, I'll even say if you do it right, your family will back you when you do that one thing. That might not make you any money.
Yeah.
Like it'll give you drive and purpose to do it. That's like, to me, that's love. It's to like, if we want to get into that sense of it, it's the sacrifice of something. But when you take away purpose, you take away actual love. And then you teach them what love is making money and being happy.
Right.
Like happy in the sense of like, it has to be a feeling.
Right. Right. Where true love could be like you said, it's based in the purpose of like, I've got to provide for my family. I think that's perfect. So like one of the verses I had pulled up that I wanted to bring into this is when Jesus talks about this. He says, in John 15, verse 10, you'll keep my commandments. You'll remain in my love, just as I've kept my Father's and remain in his love. Verse 12, this is my commandment. Love one another as I love you. And you're like, well, how does he love them? He tells them, no one has greater love than this, to lay one's life down for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. And that's really interesting for a lot of reasons, because what I think is interesting is first, Jesus says, true love is this. It's to give of yourself. It's to lay your life down, not so that you're like, yeah, I grinded hard and look at me, man, I'm crushing it. Instagram influencer, like pushing 80 hours a week and my bankroll's fat and I have everything I want. It's like, no, you grind hard for the sake of somebody else. Mm-hmm. Whether so, like if you have a family, it's your family, or if you're hoping to have a family, it's your future family. Maybe it's I have a lot of time and money, I do it for someone that needs it more than I do. Mm-hmm. But that is love, is you giving freely for the sake of someone else. That's what the Catechism defines as charity, like the truest form of love. And they don't mean like 501c3. Mm-hmm. That word comes from what they mean, which is sacrificially giving of yourself, time, resources, ambitions, abilities for the sake of someone that could benefit from it, mm-hmm. with no expectation of return. And then, but the flip side to that is he says, You are my friend. So love is to lay one's life down for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. So at the same time, that love, even though it's not dependent, it does have a condition of response. Like, you're Jesus' friend if you do what I command you. Like, if I give something to my kids, they can spurn it and run away. But if they run away from it, they've ran away from it. They're no longer receiving it, even if I feel it and I would give it. The person receiving it has to receive it and then respond in like in gratefulness or compassion or whatever. So it's relational, you know what I mean? But from the person who is loving, the person that is the lover, it has to be self-sacrificing with no expectation of equal return. And but at the same time, it also means wanting the true good of that person, you know? So like when Jesus loves people and lays his life down for them, he also doesn't leave them where they're at. Like, you think about the woman that they wanted to stone.
Every time he goes and helps someone that he loves, he utters a weird phrase at the end.
Continue on exactly as you are. I love you.
I love you exactly where you are, and I'll meet you there. Jesus Christ. 3380.
I'll see you at the next Woodstock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's always the same. Go and sin no more. So he literally says, I love you, but what you're doing is bad. Stop it.
You know what it's like? Like, back to the alcoholic. It's like if you got a DUI and someone you love paid your bail and you're like, wow. And they're like, I love you, but you have to cut this crap out and stop doing it. Like, you're destroying yourself, and I'm not going to let you do it anymore.
And some people would look at it like, why didn't you bail him out? And you don't love your kid. And it's like, no, it's the third time.
Right.
I can't keep doing this.
Right.
I'm enabling it. I'm the problem at this point.
Right.
That's love. Like, I can allow him if he wants to ruin his life on his own.
It won't be because I helped him.
It won't be because I said, I've got you.
Right.
No, it was, I love you. I can't do this anymore.
Right.
You got to stop.
I feel like this is the problem that people, like, this is if you really love someone, you're willing to do this. You know, like, if there's something that someone is doing that's actually destroying them, you might put up with it for a while and, you know, hope that they change. But at some point, yeah, you're right. The rubber hits the road, and you have to draw the line. Otherwise, yeah, you're becoming complicit in their destruction.
I was going to say, like, okay, so going back to Jesus, like, the prodigal son is that. It's, I can't help you anymore. Go, do your thing. I love you. Here's your, you asked for this. Take it. He lets him take it, and he lets him go. Like, because pretty much, like, I can't stop you. You have to figure this out on your own. But he comes back, and he throws him a party. And it's like, the reason that's love is because he didn't, like, shun him for coming back. No, he loved him. Good, he came back. But he had to learn.
He hit rock bottom first.
He had to, because sometimes, that's the thing is, like, if you go into the bad stuff, sometimes you have to let people hit rock bottom. Because they can't learn. Like, what more humbling thing than to hit the bottom?
Yeah, and realize, like, this isn't working.
To go, wow. Because how many times, like it just in your life, when your dad said stop doing something, I'm not gonna stop doing, I'm gonna keep doing it, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden you hit rock bottom, and you're like, oh my god, my dad was right. Yep. And I never listen. But how much better would it be? How much worse is it when your dad enabled you the entire time, and then you hit rock bottom? You think you're gonna go, oh, thanks, Dad. I love you. That was great. You actually helped me get to rock bottom instead of you were constantly there the entire time trying to show me not to. Right. Like, he will hate you when he hits rock bottom because you enabled him the entire time.
The person that got me here was my dad.
Well, and I'm not blaming. I'm just like, but if you enable them and then they hit rock bottom, they are gonna look at you like an awful human being. Right. But if you try, but just all of a sudden say I can't, and then they hit, they'll be like, okay. They most likely are going to turn around and go, he was right the entire time. I just didn't want to hear it.
Yeah. I feel
I'm
like
not saying that's gonna be all the time,
right.
But
No,
like,
that's,
but like
we're
that's
talking
my
an extended metaphor, but
Yeah.
about like cultural norms. I think another part to this is that, I mean, like when we're talking about like things like alcoholism, most people are like, oh yeah, you can't, like they get it. It's with all of the other stuff in between of
Yeah.
like, and I think what enables it is like a soft sort of hedonism in our culture. Hedonism being like a love for pleasure.
I'll use this one since it's not as taboo to say online is having sex before marriage.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's like how many family like my family like it was like you know they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Right.
I have friends that they'll do it's fine. It's like, and I'm like not dissing my family. It's a tough subject, especially with society. But like we just but that's not loving at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to teaching a kid that, oh, you can have sex before and just have sex with this. You got to try out the car before you buy it. Like, wow, what way to ruin your kid's marriage before they're even with that person.
And it's not even like a valid comparison because like cars get worse the longer you drive them, like they stop
Some
working.
people would say that's valid.
Well, if you're doing it right, I would say your sex life probably evolves a lot in your marriage because you get to know the person better and what works and what doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
but that gets to the like if you teach them that like, well, you know, sex is important, and then they get married. Well, then the sex dries up a little bit. And then all of a sudden they go, well, this isn't love. I'm gonna get a divorce and go find somebody else who can feel that dopamine, like you said earlier.
Right.
So it's like, that's whatever you call it, where you're we call it something
Vicious cycle.
No,
No.
Oh yeah, but the sin, like the sins of our father.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that
the
kind of
generational sin.
The generational sin.
Yeah.
But it's happening in the generation.
Right.
It's like because we taught them this, and then all of a sudden they go, well, that's important, but now I'm not having that, so I can go have sex with somebody else, and I'll get that feeling back because I lost it with my wife because we had sex so much beforehand that now I need it from somebody else because I need that feeling back. Because we didn't teach them true love, what love truly is. We taught them a feeling.
Well, and I think what is in a sense this comes back to Cain and Abel. Like we think of love a lot of times, like our whole culture thinks of love a lot of times in terms of that feeling and in terms of letting other people pursue that feeling, happiness, like circumstantial euphoria based on probably dopamine, realistically. Like, got a raise, that money, that paycheck feels really good. Man, having a couple beers feels really good. Sleeping around feels really good. Who are you to tell? I'm not hurting anybody. But the reason that is problematic is, first off, we don't think well about the extended consequences of our actions, insofar as like, oh well, sleeping around. Oh well, it's not like he's going out and beating people up or like robbing a store, but he is engaging in a very powerful act that releases a lot of oxytocin and binds people together and treating it flippantly. So he's making very strong connections with a lot of people that he has no intention on a continued relationship or correspondence or providing for or with or partnering with. And that is emotionally damaging. And if you do it enough, it's going to make you really, really damaged. And then when you have a committed relationship, you're not able to function in it well because you have all of this baggage preventing you from relating. Same thing with drinking a lot. Like, oh, his tolerance builds. He's not hurting anybody, but eventually he's going to destroy his liver. He's not going to work as well. And anyone that does depend on him will be at lack, you know? We don't think about the extended consequences. But then beyond that, when we're like, well, who am I to tell him what to do? We forget the story of Cain and Abel. Am I my brother's keeper? The whole point of that story is God's going like, yes, you are your brother's keeper. Our job is to be the eyes for people that we cannot be for ourselves. And Jesus clarifies the boundaries of this. Like, we're not supposed to judge someone if we're doing the same thing. We're not supposed to be hypocrites.
Yeah.
But people are like, oh, well, Jesus says not to judge. But what he really says is, do not judge lest ye be judged, for you will be judged to the same standard with which you judge others. So take out the speck in your own eye and then move on your merry way. No, then go take the speck out of your brother's eye. And all of that is a part of the teaching. We're not supposed to condemn someone for something that we're just as guilty of in the same way or in a similar way or even in a comparable way. But what we are supposed to do is, it's like put your oxygen mask on and then put theirs on. We're supposed to say, am I right in the situation? Do I need to repent of anything? How can I be better? Okay, now this person needs help and they are going to destroy themselves or hurt themselves or just be miserable.
Or be miserable.
And I can help them with that if we have this talk. And that's really love, but that's really hard.
Yeah.
/ rant. There's my rant. I think I get like one per episode. It's like Drew just goes on like an 8-minute tangent. There it was.
There it was. No, this is exactly what it is. It's just, it starts with teaching people to not have a, like, I don't know. I always come back to purpose because we've kind of even construed that. Like we've lost that word. And because it used to be have kids, meet a girl, get married, have kids, die for that.
Now everyone has
family.
to have a unique path, but since it's like
Start a
status
YouTube
quo
channel.
to have a unique path, it's like not unique.
It's not, nothing's unique.
Yeah.
Well, like if everybody's rich, then nobody's rich.
That's If everyone has a bunch of Bitcoin, then it doesn't mean anything.
Well, if everyone has a YouTube channel, then nobody has a YouTube channel because who's going to watch your YouTube channel? Because they have their own YouTube channel.
Because everyone's busy like going in your comments going, oh, check out my channel. And they're
Go
not
check
actually
out my
watching
channel.
your videos.
Like I'm not digging at ourselves, but like if everybody does if everybody does that, this isn't our only job. This
It's
isn't
not your
even a
only
job.
Yeah.
This is just for fun. Like, there's so many people that go, this has to be it. Like, I can't do anything else. We have real jobs. Like
my real job is similar to
well,
this.
your
but
real
it
job
doesn't-
is that's why.
Usually I'm like hitting all these buttons and
For
that's
somebody
it.
else.
I'm not also talking and I don't get any input.
No,
and I
but
just
you
have to
like,
shut up
but
and
you
listen.
have a real job.
Yeah.
That like you can go like during the day you do all that, and then if you have time you can do this for
Yep.
fun. But like you have purpose and you have a wife and you have a kid and you like you do this job. You try to make enough money to provide for them. I just have a job, like a business that it's my family's, and then eventually hopefully I learn enough and I can take over and I can do this for fun, and this is gonna be like just my thing. But like I don't have a family yet, but I have a family that I'll do anything for. I'll sacrifice myself. And I mean, this last weekend I was a little tired from certain things that I had to do, but I know they do it too. And that's the thing is like, because we love each other in the actual
you all do it
sense,
for each other.
we all sacrifice so much for each other because that's what we do. But like, I don't have to, this doesn't have to take like this doesn't have to be huge. This is for fun.
Right.
And if someone wants to listen, that's great. But I have a real job to make sure I can take care of my life and do this for fun. But there's so many people that go, no, I can't do that. I have to do this. And everybody does. But my point is, 10 years ago, that might have made more sense because nobody was doing it. But now the fact is everybody's doing it. You can't make as much money as you used to doing this. Now you have to find something else. And that's where you get these people that like they start doing the weird stuff. They chase the weird stuff instead of find something else.
Right.
Do this for fun. Have a purpose outside of whatever it is. Like, okay, if you're an actor and you're not making it and you've been there for 25 years and you're barely getting by day to day, well, I want to be an actor. Okay, do you have a real job? Well, I'm a waiter. No, do you have a real job? Not saying waiters aren't real jobs.
Waiters aren't real.
But
they're all robots.
You know what's funny is though, like I know some waiters and waitresses that make bank.
They're probably really good at it and they like do a good job. And,
but I also know some that don't.
Right.
And they're 50 and they wanted to be an actor and like, well, I'm going to just do the grind. And I'm like, eventually the grind has to stop because it's not working.
Yeah, you're not getting anywhere.
You're not getting anywhere. You have no purpose.
Yeah, and you're not your life isn't being. I think what you're talking to, and I think this is a good point. We have made love like the object of our loves in our culture, like what we orient our desires towards, is our jobs and our careers,
and you have
and
to
not
love
what
what
like
do.
Yeah, and not like a vocation.
Well, that was my point earlier. Is like
we
treat quit your job because you don't love it.
Yeah, like you have like a great paying job with benefits
you're
that
not
provides for
happy.
your whole family, and it might not even be that bad. Like odds are you're doing paperwork and air conditioning, and like maybe it's boring as all hell, but like it's paying well, and it's like, oh, I feel so stuffy. So it's like let's thrust my family
Like-
into poverty to try like drop shipping on Amazon or something.
Unless you're like, I mean, like, unless you have something that really can work. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
digging because a lot of people did it and it worked.
Right.
So I'm not digging it, but like, there are millions of people that are like, oh, I gotta find something that I love, and it's not gonna work the way they think it's gonna work because we've made like movies. Oh, this is what this person.
Yeah,
did,
every
and-
movie's about someone's like business horror story that just
That-
from the sheer passion works out or whatever.
Yeah, and then
that happens, but
and
it's like rare.
But, well, that's the point. The one movie that got made, there's 1,000 of them, but again, make that relative to how many people there are. There's 1,000 people that had that happen. There are 300 billion of you.
Yeah, for like
It's
every
not gonna
every
happen.
guy that was like the founder of McDonald's that was like selling ice cream machines and found a really nice restaurant and bought it at the perfect time in the market.
Yeah.
There was a guy that tried the exact same thing like 10 years earlier and like
And it
failed and,
failed.
went into bankruptcy
Yeah.
for the same thing.
So it's like teaching people, to love and find your passion. It's such a lie
Right.
because
Right.
just because you have passion in something doesn't mean it's going to make you any money. And
Mm-hmm.
but that's what we gauge success on too, is cash flow.
Yeah, and that's a good point.
Or popularity.
Yeah, because usually that equals cash flow
Because
and
usually that
like
equals-
respect, and
yeah.
it's like it's
But that's not real, and that's not accomplishable for
Right.
everybody. But again, if everybody's attempting that, then nobody's working the jobs that actually need to be done.
right.
And that's my point.
Right,
of-
it's selfish.
it's selfish because that's my point of this is for fun. We have a real jobs outside of this that I don't want to quit. Like, I get mad at my job sometimes, but like I don't want to quit my job because what my job does, I think, is helps.
Mm-hmm.
I build houses. It's like I build houses for people, so they have somewhere to
gotta
live. And,
people
like,
gotta sleep somewhere.
people gotta sleep. But like you film for other people. Like
Yeah.
we have reasons
Right.
to do stuff. And if nobody else does it because they all want to be a YouTuber or they all want to be an actor, then nobody's gonna be doing the hard
Yo, if
jobs.
we're all YouTubing, who's gonna drive the Uber Eats?
Well, who's gonna? Yeah, the guy YouTubing at the same time. Why did my
the guy
why
with
did my
the
food-
Uber Eats
yeah,
vlog? I get it. Yeah.
Where's
okay.
my food? Well, they crashed.
Because they were vlogging.
It's
I
like-
think, you know what? I think one important thing about this too is, yeah, what we've equated to, this is actually relevant to the conversation that just, you haven't seen it yet because it hasn't published by the time we recorded this, but Petrock and I were talking about this, Dr. Petrock Willie.
Sorry.
That's his name.
know.
He's British, okay?
I love it.
He was a great guy. You'll watch it. You'll love the episode. But he was talking about how our culture loves to talk about
Petrock?
everything.
Does
Yeah.
that mean rock?
Probably, I would
Rock
imagine.
Willie?
I would imagine so. But he talked about how our whole
I just think
society.
that's great.
It's a cool name. There's a Saint Petrock as well.
Huh.
Our whole society is on this whole thing of like dreams.
Yeah.
He says we're all chasing dreams, but the problem with dreams is when you're dreaming, you're asleep. You're not aware of the reality around you. So your dream might be to be some pop star that like travels the world and like gets to have sponsorships and stuff. But maybe the reality is your skill set doesn't match that, but the value you can provide that's valuable to other people
It's somewhere else.
is somewhere else. And if you're not awake to that reality of and it's kind of like, where are you at? What are you good at or not good at? And then what can you do that's beneficial to other people? I mean, really, my perspective on business, like I own my business. We do video production. I have the pleasure and blessing of getting to mess with equipment all day that I love and do something that I think is cool. It still feels like a job. But at the end of the day, the only reason my business is successful, it's not just because I grinded and I went after it, bro.
Yeah.
What it really was is I got good at something that brings value to other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's doing something, that's working hard and doing a thing that provides value for someone in a way that they can't do for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And in business, there's a monetary exchange that compensates for it so that I can pay for myself. But that's really the only thing that makes it different than loving somebody. Like for me to love my clients, I get paid obviously, that's like the contract part of it. but to actually love my clients and love my job is to make sure that what I'm doing, the service I'm offering, genuinely betters their business, their lives, their sales experience, their marketing, whatever it is.
Yeah, you want it to be such an easy experience.
I thought I hit the off button. This is too much for one man. Sorry, what were you saying?
Well, you want them to have such a good experience that they don't even realize you're there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because they have so much other stuff on their plate that you want an experience for them that's easy, not difficult.
Right.
So like you provide a good service and you like make it so easy for them. Like it's so hard for you, but it's so easy for them.
It's the same for you guys. You bust your butt building houses and you do all this work. You have to do all this planning, all this building.
Yeah, we want to make it as simple for you as we can.
Right.
But on our end, it doesn't look like we try, and like sometimes people are mad and all this, but like you don't even see our side of it. If you think you're upset, we're 100 times worse.
If you think you're upset about the cabinets being delayed, you should see his side.
Yes, it's like,
or like
especially right now with the way society is working, it's like everyone's upset. But it's like if you're upset, trust me, we know.
Yeah,
because we found out before you.
Well, and I think you know what, it's an
worse.
interesting point, because I feel like a lot of people have an opinion of like business can be shady or selfish, and it really can be if someone's greedy because they don't care about their customers or their employees.
But
or
when
whatever.
you actually care,
right?
Like
then and you do better. When you care, you usually do better.
Well, and it starts to age you faster.
Yeah,
because you're like, because you don't want to screw people. You want to do the right thing. You want to do it the right way. But sometimes the world doesn't work that way.
Right.
So when they're mad, you're miserable. And it's like, but that's what you do for business, and that's what you do to make sure you do it the right way. And it's like, so, and like, you don't have to have a business to have that. It's like whatever job you get into, treat it that way, as like you're
the value you're providing
to somebody else,
your employer, your coworkers, the customers that your employer serves,
because
etc.
Like, I get it, you're working for somebody else, but like, okay, so if you work on phones and you have to help people, like, don't think about it as helping your boss. Think about it, whoever's calling me, whatever the hell they're going through, like, I'll do the best I can to give them a great experience. And I know it's hard, but there will be people that are like appreciative of that.
Right.
Like patience towards other people. But we get so like, I hate my job so much, I don't care. I'm just going to be awful to this person on the phone.
Oh, I just can't wait to
But we don't know
out.
what they're, half the time we don't know what they're going through.
Right.
Like I had when I was working at one place, and this one guy he was a coworker and he treated me like crap. And it drove me, like, I was miserable because he was so mean. And then finally I broke down and I was like, you know what? I don't care that he's mean to me. He's obviously so broken in some way. And that's why he's taking it out on me. And if he needs to take it out on me, whatever. Because I can take it.
That is true love. That's actually love, because you're putting up with something that you really don't have to.
No, I didn't deserve
awareness of his brokenness. And you probably could have been like, hey, don't treat me like that, but like, what's going on? But at the same time, you didn't like blow up and equal opposite.
I handled it
reaction.
better than, like, I was like, he's just going to be this way. And something's going on that makes him that way. And I'll try to talk to him, but like, he's older than me and he's probably a little stubborn, but like, if he's got to take it out on me, whatever.
Right.
It doesn't, I can shrug it off instead of like taking it to heart. Like, why does he hate me? No, I actually just changed it and looked at it as, no, something's going on in him. Something's happening in his life that's making him miserable. It's not me.
Right.
So I learned to, like, I literally could shrug it off and just was like, I actually was nicer to him. I became nicer. And I would joke more. Even when he was being mean, I just joked back.
Right.
And like, but it was just this, like, it was just a perspective. It was like, why is this person so mean? Why is he miserable? Instead of, oh, my life sucks, this guy's so mean to me, blah, blah. No, instead I was like, no, I'm going to be nicer to this person and take it. Because it's him. And like, that literally, it got so much better when I did that. Actually, he stopped being mean to me when I started actually being nicer to him, instead of like, I don't know what I did, but like, I literally was like, I never said anything to him. I never asked him. I would throw jokes back and just took it. And literally he came up to me and apologized and said, I'm sorry for being mean. I never once went up to him and said, why are you such an ass?
Love your enemies by heaping coals of kindness on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love bombs. But it was true. It was so weird because eventually he came up to me and apologized. And I never said anything. I just changed my attitude towards him.
It's funny. It's funny how that works too.
And it's not always going to work.
Man, sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes I'm just like, this person did this thing to me, and I'm going to absolutely destroy them for it.
Yeah. Sometimes that's okay.
I've done that a couple times in business. And that's a little harder because it's like when they come after my business, it's like my family too, like directly. And it's like, then it's harder to be charitable. You're like, I'm going to demolish you, which is probably not the response, but I think we've all done it. That doesn't justify it though. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is kind of an important conversation because as we look at the world we're in, as we look at how crazy things are getting.
Yeah. We didn't really dive into the theological aspects.
We talked about it,
but not like as much as.
Yeah, you know.
But like, I think it's still a good conversation that needs to be had.
Right, and I mean, it definitely could get more theological. And I guess if you were to do that, it would be that God gives of Himself freely. And He's so merciful. I mean, if you look at the picture of the cross, it's literally giving His whole self and His whole life, Jesus Christ, for our sake, in such a way that our reception of it doesn't love us where we're at. It might meet us where we are, but it's powerful enough to take us so far from that place that we're unrecognizable when we look back on it. And I think that's what, like when we talk about all this enablement versus true love and how to actually objectively desire the good of that person and work towards it is such that if I am actually loving someone, their reception of that love, because they can say, like, you could work towards someone's good and they could reject it. But if they accept it, it should be such that their life is changed by it for the positive. And so that could be like, hey, cut it out. Or, hey, here's a thing you're really good at. It could be encouragement. It could be chastisement. That doesn't mean, like, chastisement isn't hatred. And I think that's so tough because, like, there are so many times that we know, like, that is not going to end well, dude. That's not going to go well. And it's actually cruel of us. I think it's cruel of us. Yeah, to allow it. If someone is driving in reverse on Red Mountain Pass, you're going to be like, you idiot. You're going to fall off the mountain. If you don't know what Red Mountain Pass is, just look it up, and then you'll be praying just about thinking about driving it. Because, like, if someone was driving in reverse on that, like, looking in their mirror and, like, maybe they're smoking or something, you're going to, like, honk at them and be like, dude, you're going to kill yourself, everyone in your car, and me. So, like, stop it. Cut it out. Like, turn around. Go straight. And you might think, like, well, who would ever be driving in reverse? There are tons of things that people do that you're like, why would you do that? And that's the point is...
I saw someone back up on the on-ramp.
Oh, geez. Driving is a
So if you say why would someone do that,
we're not saying that road rage is justified if it's genuinely good for the person necessarily, but maybe people shouldn't, like, cut you off. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw they took the wrong on ramp and decided to throw it in reverse.
Oh, bro.
I mean, at least they weren't on the highway at that point. They were still on the on ramp.
That's so brutal.
That's not how you do it. You go to the next exit. Okay, come on.
Oh no, that's brutal.
I couldn't honk at him. Like, I was literally, like, getting off.
Oh, you're like, dude.
On my side, and I looked over and I saw the guy stop, and reverse. I was like, what is happening?
Oh man, there's so many things like that. But I guess all that to say, like, we live in a world where love, and this is, like, kind of what I really wanted to say. Love has come to mean, and maybe not in your marriage relationship or in your friendships or in your personal life, but in our social contracts, in our social relationships in the Western world at the moment, love is tolerance. And to love someone is to have to tolerate whatever stuff they're doing. And I think that is dangerous. I'm going to use a buzzword that's toxic. It's allowing someone to persist in destructive behavior. And it's not actually loving. It's not actually loving if there's something that somebody's doing that statistically or like clinically we can demonstrate that, oh, the type of person with that type of behavior is not happy or benefited by it. then we should no longer persist in saying, well, we got to love them where they're at and let them do what they think makes them happy. If we can look at something, you can probably think about what I'm thinking about here, and it's not making people happy before or after or in the middle of whatever sort of behavior it is, and they think it is, their thought that that's what will make them happy is a delusional thought. So to love them is not to allow them to persist in it. It's to be like, hey, maybe that's not going to work. Let's try something else. And we can be gentle. We should be gentle. But the gentleness does not mean being a doormat, and it also doesn't mean allowing the boundaries to move. Like, if someone's trying to infringe upon my business and, like, what my value is, I'm going to be gentle and say no. They're like, well, can't you do that for, like, $400? I'm going to be like, no, because it costs this much, you know? I'm not going to be like, no, dude, screw you, you know? You can be gentle, but you can also be firm in the boundary, you know? And I think Jesus is this way. Like, the woman at the well, he's being gentle with her. He's not being like, you suck. You've slept around so much. Look how gross you are. He's like, well, who's your husband? And she's like, well, I don't have a husband. He's like, well, you're right. You've had 5, and the man you're with now isn't your husband. So he absolutely was willing to discuss everything that was wrong, but he was gentle about it, but he was unwavering in this is the truth. And love is always on the side of the truth. If falsehood is at all a part of our interactions with people, it's not love.
I hate that song that's like, sometimes I feel like I'm the woman at the well. It's like...
Is that like a worship song or something?
Yeah.
I don't listen to like...
It's a new one.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
like,
okay.
The more I hear it, I'm like, do you feel like, how many husbands do you have?
Oh, man. Yeah, no kidding.
Do you know what that story is about? You feel like the woman at the well? I think we all should be we should all be the woman at the well of we all are doing this awful thing and God's trying to say, stop doing it.
And we go, wow, we're going to stop doing it now.
We should stop doing it. But sometimes you feel like the woman at the well.
Right.
Like,
right.
I don't think you've read that passage.
What I love about that passage too is like, that's a very extreme, like that's like, especially in that culture, that's extreme licentiousness, like what she lived in. And for Jesus to effectively convert her in that scenario, for her to encounter Jesus and then not just go and sin no more, but she actively repents and also goes and tells everyone, wow, I was doing all these awful things. That's what happens when people in really, 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 really desperate, broken situations convert. They often become the biggest advocates of like, here's how I was living before, and they're like brutally honest. You know, have you ever encountered something like that? Like they're like too willing to tell you. You're like, okay,
I've done it.
I've
done it.
Okay.
I'm like, I need to stop talking.
Yeah, you're like, maybe I shouldn't tell everyone every detail, but it's
everybody
beneficial
needs to
as
know
well.
this.
Yeah, right. And we don't get that beautiful story if someone's not willing to tell that woman, I know what you've been doing. I think that you should stop for your own benefit. I will help you do what we need to get there, to get beyond this. And really, it's also an acknowledgement that like you can be better than this. Right now, you might not be, but you can be. You can be more than this. You know.
Well, that's real love.
Yeah.
Not sometimes I feel like I'm this person.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you either are or you're not. And,
right.
And God's probably trying to tell you something.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, just because you're doing something bad doesn't mean God doesn't love you, and I get that, and I understand that. But he also, like you said, God truly sees the potential that you have, and you're in the way.
God's love for you is such that he would eagerly pursue you to seize the thing that will destroy you.
I mean, he goes out of his way.
Yeah.
To make sure you don't destroy yourself.
Right. That is the cross.
Yeah. And it's like, that's love. That's what's crazy, like, even about that is that was someone he didn't know. Like, I get he knows everybody, but like in context of like, that was some random person.
And she was someone that ethnically he should have been really bitter towards.
Oh, was it?
She was a Samaritan.
Okay. But again, it's like, it's a random person. I mean, it's not random to him, but like if you read the story, it's like God just went up to this random person and told them how all the things that they were doing was wrong, but I love you, and stop doing it. And she goes, okay.
Right.
It's like, what?
And I think what's really interesting
Could we
about
do
that?
Could we do that?
I think we can, because I think and this is where it gets a little deep maybe, is those people in those situations, they might be deluded into thinking this thing that I keep pursuing is going to make me happy. And they might have done it 100 times and it doesn't make them happy. They might be persisting in a lifestyle of unhappiness centered around whatever this false desire is. And this, all of us have these. And they're actually, what it is they're probably on a really deep level, maybe very quietly, but they're probably aware of their desperation of like, this isn't working. But I don't know how to do it. I'm stuck. I'm trapped. I'm enslaved to it. That's really like enslavement to something. They're desperately probably desiring on some level, maybe not outwardly, but somewhere deep inside, desiring someone to be that breakthrough and to have that change. And I think that's why people that are, especially in really low places like that, can so radically transform, because they're so destitute and in such despair that when something does break through for them, and it has to be outside of them, right? It has to be something like that. It becomes really powerful in how it transforms you. And that is what it is the will of your good from someone else with no desire for return, with no conditions. Like, I'll do this for you if quid pro quo, right?
Yeah.
That type of acknowledgement of that person's worth, of like, I'll do this for you because I've designed you, I've created you to be more than this. That's why I'm doing this. That dignifies people in such a way that allows them to walk into that reality. Whereas the reason they might be stuck in this thing is probably because they've accepted a debased view of their own worth. Yeah.
Well, and that's, I think, if you look at religion, like people like, well, religion's bad and it has all these rules, and God loves me and he wouldn't want me to do all those things because that's just cruel. And it's like, well, no, that's the things he wants you to do is because he has this image of you that's so much grander than what you can ever imagine. But it's you have to do these things,
right?
Because that's the love.
That's what forms you.
Yeah, he wants you to be this.
You know where the word rule? You know what the word rule comes from?
No.
So it's related to what we now call a trellis, and it's a stake in the ground. And so when they would grow wine, grapevines just kind of flop over and dangle. So to have them be as productive as they can be, you have to train them. You have to give them a rule, or what we call a trellis now, to grow around. And so it provides a stable structure for the plant, the grape plant, to thrive in. And so the word rule, that's the original context of that word, is these are structures that provide you a strong, stable context in which to flourish. So rules are for your benefit. Like, they're literally there to give you something to grow around and not just kind of flop over. Nerdy etymology reference. That's why etymology is important, because there's so many words like that, like, oh, rules, religion, and like we don't know what they originally meant, and we're usually surprised with them. Yeah,
change their meanings and what they were doing.
Yeah.
It's just it's like, well, God wouldn't ask me to do that. No, I think he would, because it's called bettering yourself.
I don't know. God asked Abraham to kill his son, so you might be surprised at what he asked you to do.
Right?
I'm just kidding.
But it's kind of true. It's like,
he asked his disciples to take up his cross and then died like 2 weeks later, and they're like, he might have been literal.
To die for him?
Yeah. Peter's like, well, what are you going to have John do? He's like, that's none of your business. You're going to go die. And then Peter's like, crap.
We live in such a desensitized world where no one's dying for anything. I'll take up my cross, but I don't have to worry about dying.
Right, yeah. I might be like uncomfortable at work or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't have to worry about death.
Right.
That's literally what it was.
Oh, man.
Yeah, society.
Love. Well, that's my final takeaway.
Yep.
That love is not hedonism. It's not pursuing what's pleasurable, and it's not allowing others to persist in a pursuit of what's immediately pleasurable. It's actively working towards someone's objective good, not what you think is best for them, not what they think is best for themselves, but what's actually the best case scenario for them. And it's working towards that. And if they're actively working against themselves, sometimes it's saying, hey, whoa, what are you doing? You're kind of You're getting in your own way here. That's what love is. And it involves a lot of self-sacrifice, of giving of something that you have an abundance of for someone with no expectation of return.
Yep.
It's not tolerance. I don't think so anyways.
No.
I'm going to get canceled for saying that. That's fine.
Love is not tolerance.
What do you think? What's your final?
You said
What
it.
is love?
Baby, don't hurt me. No, I think we've turned it into a feeling, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's like one day you're gonna hate somebody, so like we just get rid of them. It's like you're not.
Well, there are people who.
Well, but like okay, like you're gonna if you get married and one day like you don't like your wife,
Right.
it's like
Yeah, you don't have the luxury of just disposing of her.
yeah, like because that wasn't the point. Like
Right.
if you treat it as this feeling that it always has to be, then it was nothing to begin with. And
You know, my favorite too is like, well, I do love that person. I just want them to be happy, but I know that means that they can't be with me. It's like, well, if you're the reason that they're not happy, maybe that's a sign that you need to kind of get your crap together. Like maybe that's the solution. Not
yeah.
well, I'll just leave them so that they can go be happy. It's like maybe
you were the problem.
should, yeah, maybe you should
were
just fix what your issue is,
Like
and then they would be happy.
There's a difference when you're like, I wish they were happy, and it wasn't like if
I think it's a
they
cop
if
out.
they, well no if they hurt you and
Right.
you leave and like they break up with you and you're like bitter, but instead it's like
yeah, right.
what love would be I pray that they're happy. I
Yeah.
pray that they find something that betters them.
Something that makes their life meaningful.
Yeah,
and
no,
valuable.
it wasn't me.
Right. Right.
Or you could be bitter.
Right.
Or you could be,
Yeah.
they'll never be
Yeah.
happy because they didn't.
I
they
hope
lost
she's
me.
miserable because
Yeah.
she didn't have me.
And it's like, or
Right.
pray for someone to be happy.
Right.
I don't know. My take is feelings are important and we should follow them.
Feelings are helpful in that they're usually designed to be a kickstart towards what could be a potentially good action,
Yeah.
but they're not
but they
the
shouldn't be the-
end in and of themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you'll be miserable if that's just
Yeah.
what you go based off of.
Like if you're mad about something, like that's probably telling you like, something is wrong here and I should act to change it.
Yeah.
It's not saying that you should like beat someone up necessarily.
Well, and if
But-
you're mad, you should figure out why you're mad.
Yeah, and then do
And
the
not take
thing-
it out on all these people.
Right,
But maybe
right.
it was you.
Right. Yeah, maybe I'm mad because I suck. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's my take is feelings.
feelings. We should follow them always as an infallible guide.
Follow your heart. To
Follow your heart, which is deceitful and wicked above all things.
What's that song? From Paul McCartney.
I don't know.
Live or let die.
Well, you know what? That's actually kind of
It
relevant because
kinda
live
is.
and let live is like
Yeah,
live and let die.
live
Like
and
if
let
you're just
die.
letting someone do what they want.
If you let someone live, you also have to let them die. To that thing that they're living for. Like if
Okay.
you love somebody, but love is love and tolerance. If you let someone live to their demise, you have to let them die to their demise.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like you're letting them
Let
go.
them live
Like,
and also let them die. Not like literally die, but like
Right.
they might have to die to this.
yeah. Right.
I don't know if that's what that song's about.
I don't. Probably not.
I just
Yeah.
thought it was interesting.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. It is.
Because you said live and let live, and it's like, no, live and let die.
Yeah.
Let them live, they will die to their thing. I will die to my cross, you will die to your
Mm-hmm.
feelings. Love.
All right. Well, we'll end it there. We're at an hour 20. So, yeah. Ooh, that was
long.
New studio, looking pretty good. No batteries died because it's everything. No, that's plugged in. The batteries for that weren't charged, but that light's still going. Steven's light. Pull that down. Show him. Just out of frame. Brilliant. Keep going. There you go. All right. Didn't die. It died on the last one, like midway through the talk. I didn't have it plugged into that battery. I just went, and it got real dark. Anyways, learning as we go. Thank you, everybody, for watching Drew the Catholic. And if you enjoyed this conversation, as always, like, share, subscribe, give it to a friend, leave a comment, whatever it is. All that helps us in YouTube land. And then we get more people watching, which is cool. It makes it more fun to do this. We'll probably do it anyways, though. So, But yeah, if you enjoy it, you think someone will benefit, share it. Also, we have the audio version wherever you listen to podcasts, probably, unless it's some super weird app. And yeah, we will see you next time on Drew the Catholic.